Our goal was to talk about kids this episode. Right.
Well, yeah.
I felt like that was just a cross-examination where I just said to you, our goal is to talk about kids, and you didn't respond. And I went, right? It's funny to me that we're going to start talking about kids because you've been acting like a child lately.
Yeah. I didn't know we were going to come out that strong.
I'm not going to tell everyone how old you are, but I think it's safe to say you're in your 30s.
Yes. Yes. Although one friend couldn't, one of the commenters could not believe that I wasn't in my 20s. That's my new favorite person. Can't remember that commenter's name, but thank you. I told him I identified as a 20-year-old.
The comments are getting kind of weird. Like on you, the you comments, last episode, I think it was the last episode, maybe a couple episodes ago, we talked about how you're not a jealous person.
Yes.
And I don't think I am either. And I'm not saying I'm jealous of the comments. I'm not. Not jealous of Steve 12567, but they're getting kind of weird.
Why?
They're getting weird. Do you feel it?
No, I feel great.
Well, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. Ashley is the favorite part of this show. Ashley's hair looks great. Ashley, did you hand knit your sweater? Like, what?
I know. I did not do.
Ashley's fire. And I'm like, what?
They're just reminding you. Never forget.
Weird. It's weird. I would never go on the internet and be like, hey, man, your wife's hot.
Well, I know, because your own wife would be like, excuse me.
I wouldn't have done that if I didn't have a wife.
Okay.
So we were going to talk about kids, and you've been acting like a child. People are going to say that I'm criticizing you. But you're in your 30s.
Yeah.
And you got sick a couple days ago.
Yes.
You had like a stomach bug.
I did. And that's the first time that I've been that sick in a very long time.
And you have a husband here? Right?
Yes.
I'm going to cross-examine you. Ready? You have...
No, I don't like this. I didn't agree to this with my lawyer.
You have a husband here?
Representative, where is he?
And then when they just not answer like that, you've already made your point. Now you move on. We have an 11-year-old daughter who's responsible than your husband?
Yes.
More responsible than your husband?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, you have a 7-year-old daughter who loves you so much and would do anything you asked?
Yes.
Not so responsible, but would do anything you ask. You have 2 loving dogs, 1 fish now, because,
Yeah, a baby. You forgot the baby.
Rest in peace, Scale. Yeah, I got to be honest. He's not an asset in this line of questioning. And you call who?
So I'm
sorry. You call who?
I called my mom.
Boom.
Let me explain.
I haven't cross-examined anyone this week yet.
So I was fine. I went to bed, and just like most stomach bugs, they hit in the middle of the night, and I was vomiting all night. It was terrible. I have not been that sick I can't remember the last time. I mean, probably like last time I drank way too much in my early 20s, that kind of sick. Like, it was terrible.
Mommy.
Let me finish my story. So I already, in my mind, I am planning what I'm going to do, because you try to be very helpful. You tried so hard, but you kept coming in there and interrupting me while I was vomiting. And I needed some... Yes, you did. You can't sleep on the floor. You can't be in the bathroom. Come back to bed, babe. What can I get you? Do you need some water? And I just wanted to
Next time
throw you out.
I'm going to leave your ass on that cold bathroom floor, and I'm going to sit down here.
Please, that's what I wanted.
Okay. So you call your mom, and your mom is here all that next day. I told your mom I was gonna make fun of you for this.
I texted my mom at 5:30 in the morning when I was, picking myself up off the bathroom floor to get up to tell you.
You see that comment, people? Do you all see that comment? Picking myself off the bathroom floor. You see the mixed signals here?
Luckily that morning you did, you took the kids you got them ready for the bus, got them on the bus that morning, which was so nice. And we were lucky enough that the nanny was there that day. So we had a nanny to help with the baby. But the nanny left in the afternoon, and I knew that you had a very important phone call that I think you had to take at 2:33. And I knew that physically I just did not have the energy to even pick up the baby. I laid and slept in bed all day.
You're making my story not so fun right now. You're making the people feel bad about you. And you're going to get Ashley, you're so beautiful even when you're sick.
I will say this. I texted my mom and I said, hey, if you're not busy, can you come and help with the kids? And my mom jumped at the opportunity because she loves to be with the kids no matter what. And there is something about having your mom take care of you that is 100 times better. My mom got here. She came into the bedroom. She didn't even come near me. She came into the bedroom and was like, I brought you some Gatorades.
Your mom doesn't live far.
I brought you some Cheez-Its.
But she doesn't live around the corner.
No. She lives probably
an hour.
An hour and a half.
And hour if she drives in the middle of the night in Atlanta. Hour and a half if it's any other time.
Yes. Yeah. And she came up here and she took the kids. She took them to gymnastics. She took all 3 of them with her to gymnastics. She took them out to eat. She brought them back. She put them in bed and fed them. By that time, you were getting home.
Gatorade. Don't forget about that.
Cheez-Its. There is something different about, and I don't care how old you are, there's something about your mom taking care of you. So don't ever take it for granted if you have that.
All right, so here's my law transition. When you brought this up this morning, we'll tell everybody what you wanted me to talk about so that way if they think this is really boring, it's your fault.
Right. So the other day we were talking and you had multiple clients and I just happened to overhear you as you were leaving the room and they were young clients. You were talking to the parents about their minors. And I asked you afterwards about the minors and how if they win a settlement, what happens? And I was really shocked in a good way to hear that there are things put into the court system that kind of protect kids when they win a settlement. And I didn't know that.
You said that so democratically.
What?
Because if I remember right, what was really happening is I have a client I'm concerned about, a parent that I'm concerned about, and I want to protect money for a very young child so it's there when they're 18. And you were just like, no, you did it. Like, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how much
I'll say
you wanted to share about that situation.
This happens from time to time. So we represent people who are hurt. That's all we do. And a lot of times the people that are hurt are children.
Mm-hmm. And a minor in the United States is considered 18. I don't know if it's that way around the world.
Talking to our international subscribers?
Well, there are a couple of people that are like, I'm watching from England. So is that around the world? Or are they considered? No, I don't know either.
I got a call the other day from Ireland. Somebody wanted me to look at a case in Ireland. I said, don't know what I can do there, but I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, minor is anyone under 18. And when a minor gets hurt, for the most part, their parents will be in charge of the lawsuit up until at least a certain point.
And the parents are the ones that have to sign up with you for them?
Yeah. So let's say, I'm not going to use us as an example because I don't want to put that bad juju out here for our family.
No, thank you.
But let's say family X is driving in a car. Mm-hmm. Okay. And mom is driving and you have 2 kids in the back seat and they get in a crash and everybody's hurt. Mom's case is kind of simple in the sense that mom's hurt, she has a case. Mm-hmm. 2 kids, they're minors. They have cases, but their mom has also a case for them. When a minor is hurt and needs to file a complaint or file a lawsuit, that's what a complaint is, it will be mom or dad or both. So let's just say parent. Parent on behalf of child and parent. The reason is parent on behalf of child is for the child's pain and suffering, future damages, anything like that.
Is that like the medical bills that the parents have to pay?
No, that is mom or parent alone.
Oh,
so okay. Parent sues for the medical bills parent had to pay for child.
Okay.
Because child's not responsible for the medical bills.
Right.
So the parent's lawsuit or parent's claim is just for medical bills.
Okay.
Child's claim is for everything else. I was hurt. I felt bad. I potentially missed work if they're over 16 or whatever age they're working. I have future medical bills. All that is on the child's side. So the lawsuit would read, Ashley on behalf of Charlie and Ashley.
Put the juju out there, thanks.
Well, but they're not hurt in my example.
Right, okay.
And then what makes it even more complicated is that the statute of limitations is when you have to file a lawsuit by. Parent has a 2-year statute of limitations, generally speaking, in Georgia, Tennessee 1 year, Florida 2 years. There's lots of options out there.
2 years after the date of the accident.
Yeah, the date the person is hurt. You get in a crash and 2 years later, for the most part, with lots of exceptions, welcome to lawyer land. Mm-hmm. This is like the first lawyer disclaimer I think I've given on this podcast. But
well, and this is why you need a lawyer who knows those, can kind of guide you in that.
Yeah, I mean, I was working on a California case the other day. Different rules on this.
Yeah.
I'm going to use my home state of Georgia just to keep this consistent. Mom has 2 years to file a lawsuit for the medical bills. If mom doesn't file the lawsuit within 2 years for medical bills, she can't claim the medical bills. But kid has 2 years after they turn 18. So kid has until they're 20. So in this case, child is 2, 2 going on 3. So mom has, at this point, about a year and a half to file a lawsuit.
So the child is 2. They have 18 years until they're 20, right?
Do it this way. Yes.
Yes,
That gets you to the same result. But think about it as you have to get to 18, then your 2 years starts running.
Okay.
So instead of adding it in the front end, and the reason for that is sometimes it can be delayed or told is the lawyer word. It can be delayed, and that delay stops or prevents it from starting to run.
Okay.
So the way I would tell everybody to think about it is with a child is get them to 18, then start the 2-year statute of limitations.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
Yeah. And that's because some of the exceptions would kind of be off. But yeah, so that's the starting point to parent and child need to get together and file a lawsuit for child's behalf. The thing that I think interests you is the back end.
Yes.
Can you name any celebrities that parents have stolen their money?
Who is the kid on Home Alone?
Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah. So, and that's exactly where my mind went is those kids.
Brittany, can I say free Brittany? Is this like a good time to free Brittany? Even though she clearly needs someone to take care of her money. Mila Kunis always said that her parents did an amazing job of taking care of her money.
Yeah, there are very few child actresses and actors, I think, whose parents did, because the parents will put themselves in a manager role and they'll manage the money. But, that makes it enticing for them to manage the money in the parents' interest instead of the kids.
So the back end worries me too. And I will tell you, we represent people from all walks of life. We represent people who have jobs on Wall Street. We represent people who don't have a dollar to their name. I mean, you name that spectrum, and we represent all kinds of people. There's not one category of person that makes me more or less worried. I am equally worried about this no matter what. And I'm worried about what this is a parent or someone else not having the money for the child when the child turns 18. Right? That's
right.
I purposely didn't say stealing because we'll talk about the ways that it can be used legally, which still worries me. But my goal as a lawyer when I represent mom and kid who are in a crash is get mom their medical bills that they had to pay for kid. That's my goal.
Fair.
And my goal is I represent mom and I've done my job for mom. I represent child, and my duty and my responsibility to child is when child turns 18, child should have that money. And even if that means sometimes I have to safeguard that money in ways that mom may not particularly like, that is the balancing act that I sometimes have to play.
I think though, didn't the courts take that off of you because do they not have rules in place? I thought that there was a minimum. So if it was under a certain amount as the settlement for kids.
Yeah, that's true. So if the total recovery for the child is under a certain amount of money, here in this state, it's $25,000. So if the child is getting less than $25,000 to them.
Not including the medical bills that were paid out to the parents.
Yeah, that's mom. Yeah, they treat them totally separate. So if kid is walking away, theoretically one day, with $25,000 or more, you have to go to court. You have to get a guardian ad litem for the child. That's a lawyer who's appointed by the court that works in the best interests of the child. Guardian ad litem only looks for the child's benefit, doesn't care about mom, cares about mom, but doesn't worry about what mom wants to do or doesn't want to do, and then makes a recommendation to the judge.
They always have the kid's best interest in mind.
Yeah, and that's if it's above $25,000. If it's below $25,000, I hand that check, or at least I can, hand that check to mom or hand that check to dad for the child. Basically, parents can be trusted up to $25,000. That's what the courts in this state have said.
Yeah.
Right? Even in the situation where there's more than $25,000, that's when you can start massaging how you want to approach a parent to handle that money.
What do you mean by that?
All right. Now let's get into the time when, a kid gets $500,000.
Okay.
Remember, we had a client, she got hurt at her apartment complex, and I drove to Children's Hospital on a Saturday morning.
Yes.
We're going through that process with her right now.
Okay.
Her settlement for her injury, because she lost a body part. And obviously that's lifelong. So her settlement is hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. So let's use $500,000 as an estimate, a pretty good estimate for her potentially losing a finger. In that case, we have just asked the guardian ad litem to review a plan. Well, where did this plan come from?
Do you write the plan, or do you have to hire lawyers to write the plan? Like people that are, I guess that it's specifically their job to write parenting plans.
So when you have that much money that you're talking about, let's say $500,000, there's a lot of different ways to do it. You can put it in a structured trust, or structured annuity, which you just put the money in one account. Nobody can touch it till the kid's 18, hands off. That's the easiest, the simplest. Two problems with that. One, annuity rates aren't really good right now. So you're not going to earn as much money over those years, because now my goal becomes like your little mini money manager for the child, right? I want them at 18 now not to have $500,000. I want them to have $700,000, right?
How can you help them get the most money?
Yeah. And like one day in a decade or 2 decades, I'm going to be really proud one day. I hope one of these kids comes back to me and it's like, great job. Thank you. But that's the simplest hands-off way, safeguarded. Like that is the safest way. There's also ways that you can put it into a trust, which people can draw on some of that money. And this is what we ended up talking about the other day.
The parents can draw.
Yeah, think about it like a playbook. So what we need to do was we work with companies who put together playbooks for families. And company meets with family. I'm involved to some degree. And we talk about what the playbook would be. And the playbook is when can a parent spend the child's money?
Okay.
And on one spectrum, you have parents who say, and have the financial ability to say, I don't want to spend any of my kid's money. Or maybe I want my kid to go to private school now. We can't afford private school. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to make a playbook that allows me to draw on that money, to take that money and spend it for my child's benefit, solely for their benefit, to go to private school, because that's what I really want them to do. Take a kid who's 17 and is getting ready to go to college, and let's say they're young for their birthday and they're going to start college before they're 18. Very reasonable for a parent to say, hey, that first tuition payment, I don't have that money. My child has $500,000. We're going to use that for the first tuition payments. Use that example, the private school example, because it is solely for the kid's benefit.
Are there some things that are kind of iffy that, yes, 100%. Could be for the kid's benefit, but maybe their money shouldn't be used for?
Definitely the first half of your statement. I'm not going to say the second half of your statement, because that might get me sideways here. The goal is you can use the money for the best interest of the child.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And everybody obviously has different opinions on what the best interest.
And I think life circumstances affect this a lot, right? Now, let's say the example I'll use is parent needs a new car. I'm going to sort of use air quotes here if you're listening to this and not watching it. It's not like that full, like sarcastic air quote. I'm like giving like the soft air quotes, right? So parent needs a new car to transport kid.
I can err on the side of caution and say, okay, that makes sense, because if they're taking the kid to school, if they're taking the kid to after school activities and things like that, that does make sense. Now, do they need to go out and buy a BMW?
There you go.
No.
Now, if the kid has some sort of physical disability and you need to go buy a Sprinter van that will let provide easy access, let a wheelchair, that to me, that's in the green zone. Like that is, right. You do that every day of the week because you have to. But using your BMW example, rolling up to school with your kid, and you have a convertible and you have the Bose sound system and you're, all the other parents are like, wow, new car, that's nice. And the playbook decides that the kid's responsible for 30% of the car because the car is used 30% for the kid's time. And that example can extend to houses, mortgage payments, rent, utilities, food, vacations.
And these are the guardian ad litem is the one that decides whether or not that's okay.
Typically, mom, dad, parents, and company work towards a playbook. And then they present it to the court / the guardian ad litem. And then the guardian ad litem will make a recommendation about whether this should be approved or not.
I can see some instances about the housing. I mean, if you live in a place that has really bad school systems and you can't afford to live in a nicer part of town and you're just trying to get your kid into a good public school, I can kind of understand that. But that I can also see how that's a little iffy because
Let's do this example. So let's say you live in a 2-bedroom apartment. Okay. And let's do single mom, 2-bedroom apartment, only 1 kid.
even if there were 2 kids, I think that is absolutely acceptable. I think that's fine.
You know why I chose 1 kid?
Why?
Easy numbers.
Of course.
So you have 2 bedrooms. You have, let's say you have 1 bathroom and you have a kitchen and living room in this apartment. Okay.
Okay.
With 2 people in there, can be divided very easily 50-50. Let's say before this car accident where the child is really hurt, they still lived in this same apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now post car accident, in this playbook, mom is now pushing to say, I want to use my child's money to pay for half of the apartment.
Right. When they were already covering it themselves to begin with.
Now, I will say a lot of parents struggle with the idea that that's not their money. Like just the general concept of this is my child's money, it's not mine. I've had white folks in their 40s have this problem. I've had black folks in their 60s have this problem. I've had a lot of people all across the spectrum.
In between everywhere.
Just think like, but this is my money. I'm the parent. I'm in charge. It's my money. No, it's not.
And that's what makes me feel better about there being other people outside of the parents. It's not just one person's opinion. There's a group of people that have to come to an agreement and make a decision. The judge, the guardian ad litem, the parents.
I had a case where I represented a minor who also had some disabilities, some functioning disabilities, not physical. She couldn't care for herself to begin with. The main caretaker was grandma. Her mom was killed. Child's mom was killed. That's why I was involved in the case, and that's why I represented the daughter because her mom had been killed. So daughter is not able cognitively to take care of herself, and grandma is in charge.
Mm-hmm.
Grandma, though, is getting up there in age, and grandma's worried, I don't want to do this whole plan and be in charge because, if things don't last very long for me, we're going to do this all again. I don't want to do that.
Right.
So uncle comes into the picture, and uncle is the person that we all kind of propose as being in charge of the money. Okay. You have to have a trustee. When I say in charge of the money, if you're going to do this trustee, you have to have a trustee, or this trust, you have to have a trustee. So uncle is going to be put in that position. And this judge was so concerned about this that he had his own little mini trial about this. Typically, this kind of stuff we're talking about how guarding the money and parents and courts, that's probate courts. Probate courts are the courts that you go to for this.
Okay.
The courts you go to if somebody's passed away and you deal with a will.
Right.
Okay. It's a property court. Well, this judge, though, isn't in that court. This judge is handling the underlying wrongful death case. But judge is so worried about the decisions that the probate court has made that the judge made the guardian ad litem from that county come to his courtroom, and he sat her on the witness stand and questioned her. Wow. Why do you trust uncle? Do you believe uncle? Is uncle going to steal the money? How can I be so sure? Because the judge had to approve the settlement that we got and went in on the guardian ad litem, very clearly indicating that he didn't believe that she had made a good decision. I think she did, by the way. I think the judge, maybe got some misinformation potentially. But you have judges who are that far and involved in the process, which I appreciate. I didn't appreciate in that case. I wanted the case to resolve so I could hand the money. But you have judges that it's rubber stamp, rubber stamp, rubber stamp, rubber stamp, that they don't look at anything.
Yeah, I appreciate the involvement. I know it made it a little bit harder, I think, for you. It kind of expanded the case.
His involvement took so long that we were sitting there being like, if this money had been invested for the last year plus, it would have been a substantial difference.
Yeah.
And all of that involvement that he had, which required us to do certain things, like we had to go get an expert to test the daughter that we all agreed she wasn't competent to do this. That came out of her money, essentially.
Right.
So I didn't love that, but I understand why he did it, and I appreciate that more than just rubber stamping things.
Yeah. Well, he probably was really jaded and maybe has dealt with instances where.
Oh, he said that. You're 100% right.
Yeah, where the parents just took all of the money.
Yeah, he said, I don't want you all back in here in a couple years telling me all this money's gone. And, I have an ethical duty to the minor client to protect their money. So, I want their money protected. Mm-hmm. There's some times when if I had the choice, I would shrug and be like, give mom and dad the money. They will totally protect it. I'm sure they will. Am I really sure? No, but I have a really good idea. I trust those folks.
Right.
There are other times when either I don't know the parents well enough in that way. I can get to know people, but.
Yeah, or maybe you're not confident that they.
Yeah. They might just make a bad money decision and have good intentions. At a minimum, the system we have in place here safeguards the money, puts it in the majority of it, hopefully, in at least some sort of account that no one can touch.
Well, I know even for me, like when it was just the girls and I, if I had a lump sum of money that belonged to one of the girls, I don't think I would want to personally be in charge of it by myself. I definitely would want somebody else to be in charge. I mean, telling me where to invest it.
Who's in charge of the girls' money now?
You are.
Okay.
Not me. We do have a financial advisor though. That makes me feel better. I'm not in charge of it.
Because I wouldn't have said I was.
Oh,
That's why I was like,
it's not us.
We got a problem here. Because I don't know if it's me either.
It's the advisors.
Yeah, that's.
Glad we're on the same page at least.
I guess I'm a more responsible than you are in terms of the money. But
I'm very responsible. No, I'm offended by that.
I didn't mean you're not responsible in terms of money. I meant, I think the responsibility of managing money falls a little more on me.
Math isn't my thing.
Yeah, but I'm in the same boat as you. I don't want to make a decision myself.
Right.
And you're always involved in the decision. I mean,
we talk about it but with the advisors.
Yeah. Mainly do what they say.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. All right. And this goes with kids. So let's imagine that Charlie would be responsible with her $1 million. Let's imagine Olivia, crazy ass Olivia, okay, is going to get $1 million because of something that happened when she was a kid. When and how would you want her to get that money?
That is a hard thing too. And I think we've had this conversation because I know people who have generational wealth, like old, I guess, what do they say? Like old money. And I know people who have trust funds. And you snob. Just because you know people doesn't mean. I can't wait for the people to hate on you in the comments on this one. Finally, an episode that you can pick on Ashley. Finally. I don't think this is something you can pick on me. I've always found this very interesting of how their money is laid out. They don't receive it in a lump sum. At least the people that I know, I think they get, is it broken up into payments? I don't know. Do you know how our will is written? I would have to ask the advisors. This wasn't exactly a hypothetical question. We literally had this talk in Mary's office, Mary who did our wills, because we had to decide this. I have to refresh myself on that material. Plead the fifth. All right, so what is it you told Wells to do? Shut the f up. The answer is, by the way, the answer is that the money, if we were to die in a tragic car accident, the way it works for us is if we die and the girls and Wells, I guess Wells exists now. I'm thinking about. Yeah, he wasn't when the will was written. You were pregnant though, or close to being pregnant. Close to being pregnant means not pregnant. But we had talked about IVF. We always had a plan for IVF. I think we had done at least something with the IVF. Because we did the will after we got married, and we got married and we were pretty much on the IVF journey pretty quickly. Yeah. So, Mike was right. Mike's going to remember that. Mike's going to say that all weekend. Are you going to go back to this episode and pin that at the top, whatever the time frame is? That is a great idea. Right? I just had the time. I didn't even know people could do that. I didn't either until recent. People are way smarter than us. So anyway, it goes in our house that they get a certain percentage when they graduate college or turn 21. Right. Whichever, I forget how it's triggered. Then I think there's a payment when they're 25. Then there's a payment when they get married. Oh, wow. And then there's a payment then I think the payments go 35, 45 until like they're 55. We really thought that out. Yeah, we did. That is I don't so know, impressive of us. It sounds like you don't remember having this conversation, but back then, the conversation we're about to have or we're having right now is the reason that we ended up doing that, because we said, I said, I don't want to have a kid end up with a ton of money when they turn 18. That's the stupidest idea in the world. Right. Well, we both, I think, said 18-year-old us would have blown through that money in a heartbeat. 18-year-old me went to a small college because if I would have went to a place like Georgia where I went to law school, You probably wouldn't be the lawyer that you...
Well, I was going to say I would have gotten arrested, but I've made videos about my arrest, taken into custody, because that happened. And, I certainly wouldn't have been able to, let's say, probably get into law school, because I would have screwed around and done really stupid stuff, and I wasn't built for that.
I agree.
At that time.
I also went to a smaller school, primarily for the same reason. And having that responsibility, your brain isn't even fully developed. And so being able to comprehend, okay, I need to save some of this money for later on. You're still very self-centered at 18.
When at 18, you don't need money. Like, sure, you need to live. You need a place to live. You potentially need a car.
You don't need a 4-bedroom home.
You need some money for ramen noodles or your macaroni and cheese, whatever your preference
Everyone
is.
should go through the ramen noodle stage.
Right. Like you don't,
of life.
you don't need anything. All right. Now that's our choice, because we're talking our will. We can do whatever we want. We could donate our money to the Birdie and Bunker Fund. Like we could do whatever we wanted.
I think they are in our will. We made sure they're taken care of too.
They are not.
Birdie's not. Bunker, I think
No.
is. We did not.
No.
Oh.
No.
Well, next time we go back and update it.
No.
I'm just going to take care.
Charlie.
Oh, yeah.
We have a responsible kid. 1.
Out of 3. Those aren't great odds.
Ashley, tell everybody what you found out this morning that Charlie does, a responsible Charlie.
Charlie gets up to get on the bus probably 45 minutes before she needs to make sure that she has enough time to not stress herself out.
Well, you walked in there today to get her up.
To get her up. And she was already downstairs, lunch packed. She was ready. She had all of her things together. She has an after school activity. She had those items together.
Where is other child?
Charlie was also studying for a test that she had today. There's another child who she was awake because her sister went in there and threw the blankets off. And I give the girls plenty of time to get up when I go in there. I'm not rushing around.
What do you mean
either.
when you go in there? Tell everybody how you actually get them up. What you do from bed.
We have an app on our phone, and I can click on it and turn the lights on in their room. That gives them time to wake up before I get in there.
You don't go with a slow, steady increase of like warming
bright
lights. Yeah,
bright lights.
I'm gonna do that to you one day.
You can't, because we share the same bed and I'm up before you.
That's not always true. I might still be up from the night before. All right, now that we've returned from our commercial break, the problem is now we get to choose how the kids get money should something happen to us. It's our money. We get to do whatever we want with it. And if we choose to give it to them, we can give it to them in any way we want. I mean, we could say, like, you got to go to the North Pole and take a picture and then you get the money. Like, you can almost do anything.
Right. We obviously would not do that. We're very fair in the planning. But
New ideas unlocked.
But we put things in place to make sure that if something ever happened to us, that mom and dad are always there, kind of in the back of their mind. You only get a little bit now. You have to make sure they're responsible.
There's a lot of reasons. I mean, I know people who, like you, who came from a lot of money. And I wouldn't say that's not either one of us, right? Is that fair to say?
Wait, what did you say?
I, like you, know a lot of people who, know people who came from money.
I know people like you, like me, that came from, that came out way wrong.
No.
I'm going, wait, what?
I would say both of us grew up very similarly.
Oh, yes.
Single moms initially to single mom and stepdad.
Yeah. I mean, my mom was a teacher, worked for the government.
My mom worked for a bank.
Yeah. So very similar middle class upbringing.
And I think both of us went to school and lived in places where people had a lot of money. Where I grew up, people had a lot of money. Where you went to college, people had a lot of money.
Yeah. So I was going to say, not the small town that I grew up in, but definitely the college that I went to, there were people that
and I know
a lot of money.
And I know so many of those people that, money wasn't an issue, and then you get into drugs, and then you get into, bad decisions in a lot of different ways. And that's what I was worried about with the girls. So this is the longest transition ever. So the problem with my job in this situation, though, is when you turn 18, you have a legal right to your money. We cannot safeguard the money and say, nope, you got to either graduate college or 25, whichever comes first.
That can't be put in place at all.
You cannot can
the guardian ad litem, nobody can judge, nothing. It just belongs to them.
When the kid turns 18, the kid is an adult, has every right
to their money. So does the kid have to make
drinking?
If they are 18, do any of those kids ever go, I should put this in a trust or do something? Or do they automatically take that lump sum?
Oh, they don't have a choice. So like with a structured annuity, you have to do that before essentially accepting the money. So you do that from step one, let's say. So if you bypass step one, you can't go back.
Yeah.
The point of a trust is for someone else to make sure you make good decisions. Mm-hmm. But they're 18, they could make a trust to benefit themselves, but as the beneficiary and as the creator of the trust, they could disband the trust anytime and do whatever they want, unless you have Britney Spears' dad taking over. But absent that, like, the kids have a legal right to the money. So I was looking the other night at this. We've had a couple kids who have gotten old enough to get all of their money. Nobody in the 7 figures that I could find, at least think of. By the end of the year, we will have 3 kids that were hurt as children getting 7-figure money when they turn 18. They are on my calendar. The date that their birthday is on my calendar to call them up. One of them I talk to pretty frequently and say, like, don't be a fucking moron.
Yeah.
And one of them I will say pretty close to don't be a fucking moron to him. The other 2 I probably will ask, hey, could you come to my office or I'll come to you. I'd like to take you out to lunch for your birthday. Bring your parents. And I will probably do or try to get the opportunity to do the reminder to the family of, hey, this is this, and here are some people you may want to talk to. And
yeah, well, and I think that's really important, putting them in touch with people that can help them manage, because I know for me, if I came into 7 figures at 18, I didn't grow up with that kind of money. My parents didn't have that kind of money. So yeah. I don't know if they could we would all be learning together how to manage that.
Well, everybody makes fun of athletes who get paid a lot of money and then they go broke. Well, the main reason is because they don't have the money management skills to plan that, hey, when I turn X years, which may be earlier than they intend to be, hey, I'm going to play in the NBA for 20 years. No, you're probably going to play for 2 or 3.
Right.
And that lump sum $3 million that you get, that is not going to ever be repeated. So you can't go spend as if you make $3 million a year. And that's what we try to convey, at least what I try to convey to these families and kids. I tell them, you're a professional athlete. Like for this, you're a professional athlete who got a lump sum, or you're a lottery winner. In terms of getting a lump sum payment, that is the way it is.
Got to surround yourself by people that can help you navigate how to manage that amount of money.
Yeah, and there's only so many people in this world that get a payment like that, a lump sum payment like that. I mean, it doesn't happen frequently.
Well, and that money
happens a lot in this house because I talk about it with our clients, but like it doesn't.
That money is life-changing.
Yeah.
And if it's invested, if it's 7 figures and it's invested, I mean, they could make money off of that money, a lot of money.
A lot of people ask me, well, do you know anyone that can manage my money? And I'm like, yeah, I know 2 great people. Yeah. We've talked about them, but I don't recommend them and I don't tell clients because I feel I don't want there ever to look like if something went wrong, I don't want it ever to look like
that you misled them.
I put them with my people and my people didn't do a good job with them and I wouldn't get any benefit, but maybe they think I did because it's my people, right? I recommend people, but I don't have firsthand experience with them. It's all secondhand, meaning somebody told me these investment people are great. Our investment people told us these other people are also great and you should maybe talk to them. But I get vultures that come to me constantly. Hey, I manage money for injured people. Can I? And I'm like, my rule is if you come to me about money, if you come to me about money, I'm not using you. I want to go find you. That's the money stuff about clients. The other thing that I'll mention is that it takes an extraordinary amount of time. Because here you are, for example, in state court and you go through your whole case and you win. And now you have this money. Well, now you got to start essentially a whole nother case in probate court. And you got to go through that whole process using lawyers assigned by the judge, using, whatever other people that are involved. And your case, I've had situations where we have settled a case within 6 months. We've done a great job. 6 months later, we're good. I'm thinking about the Melando Moore case. If we leave that in, I hesitated. That was the Mike Brain, is this or was this settlement confidential? That's what that was. So we had a client named Melando Moore. He was killed and his daughter came into a whole lot of money. In that case, we were able to get his daughter millions of dollars within like 6 months. Oh. And then we have other stuff involving the money that takes a year and a half.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, it's also frustrating because it's not quick. It's not a easy fix.
I wonder if that kind of deters people from reaching out to a personal injury lawyer because they're like, oh, it will just take too long. It won't be worth it. I know a lot of people are deterred from calling a personal injury lawyer because they think that they're going to have to pay you up front. We've had that conversation before, that you get paid from the settlement. But I wonder if it also deters people thinking about it will just take too long. I won't have that money.
If it's going to take too long and not make sense because of time and money, I'll tell you, because I'm the one spending my time and money.
That's a fair answer. That's a very fair.
Yeah.
That should be your on a billboard or a slogan.
What I will mention is that personal injury lawyers are the biggest and first safeguard of frivolous cases that just don't make sense, because I'm not going to take your case that I don't think I can win, because then I'm spending my own time and money and I'm not getting anything. I'm losing money and I'm losing time. And I'm losing money paying for my attorney's time. And I'm losing money paying for my staff's time to work on your case. Right. And I'm losing there is zero incentive for lawyers in my position to take cases that can't win. In fact, I think on the flip side, we get a lot of criticism that you only take cases that you will win. No, I take cases that I think have a very reasonable shot. I take cases I believe in. If I think that you should win, I will take your case. We're the first line of, if your case doesn't make sense, I will tell you.
It's worth asking, though. I always tell people, my friends will text me and say, hey, can you give me your husband's number? I have a question. And I'm always like, yes, just ask him. He can, tell you yes, no, give you some information.
Last year, for about every 75 people that contacted us for a case, we told one of them yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We are constantly saying, and when I say no, it could be that somebody contacted us, I said, no, we don't do that, but here's who you call. There's a lot of that. But for every 75, it's like 75.7 people that called us, we said yes once. So, I'm not out here dying for a billion cases. That's not what we want to do. I'm not trying to get anybody who walks in the door or thinks they have a case to come to me.
You will be realistic too.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing worse than
wasting your time working on a case that isn't a case.
Well, no, sure, that too. Yeah, from my point of view,
working on a case that is a case.
But from the client's point of view, like in the history of the Rafey Law Firm, we've helped at this point, I think, in the thousands of people. I don't know that number off the top of my head, but I think our number is less than 5 people who have let us go. One of them was, they ended up talking to a friend, and friend says, we're representing them, we're helping them, but they talked to a friend, and friend says, you should talk to this other lawyer. And then the client's name was Mike. But the other lawyer says to him, oh, how much does your lawyer say you're going to get? And Mike says that I told him you're going to get, $250,000. Other lawyer goes, you have $1 million case. $1 million case, man. And Mike calls him and goes, hey, this other lawyer says I have $1 million case and you're totally wrong. And I was like, hey, man. If you had $1 million case, wouldn't I be the first one to tell you that? Like, come on.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to go this other direction. I'm going to go with them. And I'm like, all right. 4 months later, he calls me back and he's like, will you take my case again? Will you take my case again? And I'm like, yes, I will. I told you so. I'll never say that again to you, but I told you so. And then he texted me the other day, and he does flea flips houses. Did I tell you? We're sitting right over there. He texted me and said, hey, I flipped a house. Do you know anyone who wants to buy a house? And sent me the listing of the house.
That's right. Yeah.
That's Mike.
Oh, yeah.
So
that's funny.
Yeah. And I maybe I'll text him back today and be like, I just talked about you at that time you fired me. And then realized, because somebody and lawyers will do that. And like that worries me, because you get the client's hopes inflated, and lawyers will promise people $1 million or $100,000 when there's only $25,000 of insurance.
Well, and I think in a lot of cases, people are very vulnerable. And if you're promising them and giving them false hope, I would hope that you always err on like the side of caution.
Yeah, we had a case that a lawyer referred to me. His name is Lewis. So Lewis and I get on the phone with a client. His mom had been really badly injured in a car accident, and he was kind of handling everything for her. And I talked to him for like 2 hours. It gets to the point where he says, no, so what do you think would be the outcome? What do you think my case is worth? And I said, do me this favor. Go on your State Farm, whatever the insurance company was, I don't remember, Allstate, Progressive, Geico, whatever. Go on the app, and I want you to look up your mom's insurance information, which he had. And he goes, okay. he didn't have any uninsured motorist coverage. Uninsured motorist coverage is the insurance coverage that covers you when the other person doesn't have enough or doesn't have any insurance coverage. So if you have $100,000 of uninsured motorist coverage, you always have at least $100,000 of protection. He didn't have that. He didn't have that coverage at all. And I mean, he's a doctor. He was like a surgeon. I was like, hey, you don't have this coverage. And he goes, why does that matter? And I said, I didn't even know these cars were in existence anymore. Your mom was hit by a 1997 Saturn. I don't think the person driving them has a lot of insurance. If you were hit by a 2024 Cadillac Escalade, I would be like, okay, we probably got people with insurance. Or if you're hit by a whatever, a really nice car, that's usually a reflection of your worth to some degree, the money that you have, and the insurance that you've probably bought. And I said, most likely this is a $25,000 case. And I said, so the focus isn't getting your mom and you money. Mm-hmm. The focus is making sure your mom's not in medical debt for the rest of her life, because she, by her treatment, obviously had a lot of medical bills, or was going to have a lot of medical bills. And he talked to somebody else who said, oh no, you got a case that's, worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, and said, I'm going to go with those lawyers. And I said to him, look, you do have a case that your mom's injuries are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. You're limited by how much insurance there is. And if this Saturn has $25,000 of insurance, that's it. If the Saturn has $100,000, that's it. So maybe one day I'll get a call from that guy being like, hey, this other lawyer misled me. Come to find out it's $25,000. I know. So you have been, I do those transitions kind of hard. When I watch the videos back, I see a laughing.
And you're like,
yeah, I got to get better. So let's try this one. Ready? So was that weird? I feel weird. I don't know how to do this.
I'm glad you put on shoes, because your foot's going to be in that shot.
I was trying to get on feetpics.com. They say wealth is built with multiple income streams. Oh. So I'm just looking for another one. The messed up part is that is a good piece of advice.
Yeah.
But don't do it. Not feet pics.
Feet pics.
Not a foot guy. I appreciate socks. We should all wear socks.
So Mike had a cold. I think everybody has had the flu or a cold or something. And Mike finally caught it from all of the kids. And he has been so confused. He got a pack of the DayQuil, NightQuil, and he has...
I don't think I'm confused. NightQuil, DayQuil is confused, because I've been doing this for 38 years.
They come in two different colors. One is orange, one is blue.
Pause. Okay. I would say it's a deep red, by the way. But if you don't know the colors of NightQuil, DayQuil, Google that right now on your phone. Okay, so stop, pause, do that. And what I want you to do, because I like when people, and I think it's cool when people comment throughout what they're watching, right?
Yeah.
So if you're watching this, what I'd like you to do is right now comment which is day and which is night.
So for example, is the orange day,
or
is it night?
Or the deep red, the deep red. You're trying to get the people against me. Or is this mellow blue, kind of bright blue? I don't know what you call it.
Dark blue.
Anyway, which one is NightQuil? Which one is DayQuil? Because supposedly, that's not supposedly. I now know that the night is blue.
There's been multiple days where Mike has gotten up in the morning, gotten dressed, ready for work, and is taking the blue pill to feel better.
No, the time I did it where it really hit me was
you did it
we
one
went
day.
to dinner.
You did it one day, and you immediately went back to sleep, and you slept for,
and I thought I was just that sick.
Yes. And then you start to feel better, and you're still kind of taking it just as a precaution. And then we went to lunch, and halfway through lunch, you are just slumped over. And you're like, I am so tired.
I can't feel my arms.
I think I might have taken the wrong pill.
Well, at that point, you had told me that I'd been taking the wrong one. I knew, but my brain, I think I've always just taken them wrong. I think I've always had.
So for me, I say the orange red reminds me of the sun and daylight. And the dark blue.
Yeah, they're getting nodding.
The dark blue reminds me of the sky at night because it's dark. What was your theory? What did you say?
So I think that blue is more of a green, and but it's a blue green, and it makes me think of the sky.
But not at nighttime.
Or grass and daytime activities. This sounds ridiculous. And then the red makes me think of a calming red, I don't know, now that I say it out loud, but that there was didn't I find someone that agreed with me?
No.
Oh, I thought I found somebody that agreed with me.
No, in your head, you agreed with yourself.
We should ask the girls tonight. and not give them, just like, hey, which one would you take at day? Which one would you take at night? Let's ask them separate. I bet Olivia's going to be on my team.
I need you to make like a short of this and put up a question box because
I think we know the answer.
Yeah.
I'm wrong. I mean, I can admit that.
Absolutely. Yeah.